Hi everyone. Hello, hello. It's Karen Lynn and welcome to Spiritual Split Splash. So these are just helpful, hopeful, heartfelt conversations about well-being. Today I'm going to be with Jen Palko. Jen is a holistic soulpreneur. She is a super creative person making amazing content on YouTube. And she can share a lot about her experience working in more of a corporate structure and then moving into this new kind of 5D world where we're all understanding our experiences of spiritual awakening and sharing that with others. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Hey, well,
How's
I'm
it?
so happy to be doing this with you. And I know
Likewise,
you talk about so many different topics with such
I
ease
do.
and wisdom. I really wanted to dive into the topic changing careers and identities and now
Sure.
being in this space now where it's so important to share how you're doing this now and
hmm
inspiring others.
I've gone through a lot of transformations, I guess you could call in my life, or little evolutions of myself. I mean, I started years and years ago in the corporate pharma world and had
Yes.
the desk job, the 9 to 5 job. Did that for about roughly 7 years, a little over 7 years.
hmm
And then I decided I wanted to find more meaning and purpose in
Yeah.
my life. So I decided for some reason to go to acupuncture school, and I did that for a few years while I was working full time. It was just, the 9 to 5 thing. It was stressing me out. I was feeling anxious. I was pretty much at a place where I was stuck, like a
Yeah.
lot of people,
Yeah.
stuck. And,
Yeah.
you get out of college and you get a job and it's, you do the traditional thing, right? The status quo. So it's years later, you discover more things about yourself and it's like, I'm really not that happy. Like, what else could I do? You start exploring things. And I went through a lot of like emotional stuff where it was just, I just wasn't feeling good. So I decided to do a 180, go the holistic route. And then I went to acupuncture school. Then I practiced acupuncture for a little over 7 years now.
Okay,
And
great.
now I'm at a point of another evolution. It seems like every
Yeah.
seven
Yeah.
years I kind of hit this point where
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, I feel the urge to do something
hmm
else. And
hmm
now I'm getting into the content creation. I'm getting into, I want to have an online business. I'm
Yes.
doing YouTube videos every day.
Yes.
Whether or not I will still do the acupuncture, I don't know. I just feel like
Okay.
a calling or an urge or that I'm
Yeah.
being guided
hmm
to
hmm
go in a different direction
Yeah.
or share a message out. So I think it starts with status quo,
hmm
tradition, ego. Then it's like looking for more purpose in my life. And now I'm at the point where I'm trying to be as authentic as I can and kind of the heart-mind coordination
hmm
part of myself.
You are definitely driven by some passion and inspiration because you make content every single day.
Yeah, I
And as a
post a
content
video.
creator myself, I know how difficult that is. And you're just,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, how are you doing that? Because
hmm
this is a lot of work and they're good quality. So
Thank you. Thank you. It's become a habit at this point. I mean, I'm well over. I started end of December, so I'm going on
okay.
8 months. I basically made a promise to myself. I said, I'm going to put out a video every single day for a year. Yeah, I don't want to break that promise to myself. And it's just become a routine. It's my part of my morning routine. I do hit points where I run out of content or I can't think of anything. I have a
Yeah.
mental block, but usually something will come to me or something I've read or something like that.
It's
It is
great.
what it
It's
is.
great.
Yeah.
And you keep doing it, and that's the consistency I'm learning is a big
hmm
part of taking this action.
Yeah.
And a lot of the mentors that have come into my life and I'm following have said that you make it a habit. And I even reached out to you at one
hmm
point and I'm like, wow, how are you doing it? You're like, just gotta set the
Yeah.
intention and do it every day. I think there's a lot of people now that are questioning their livelihoods, especially with the
Exactly.
pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any kind of insights that you could share with us based on what you went through with that transformation, that process?
I, as much as I hate to say it, coronavirus for me was a blessing in disguise.
Right.
I mean, it's not, I don't want to say that,
Oh,
but
sure.
because it allowed me the time to take a step back
Yeah.
and do this content or to figure things out and discover things about myself. Because, for many years, I hid away like my creative side. Like I was a very creative kid and then I did the adult thing and
Right.
I feel like I felt like I lost my creative outlet. in some way. And it made me just, I don't know, I just felt kind of like
Mm-hmm.
flat.
Right.
So when I started doing the videos and putting out content, it brought out another side for me. So I really discovered a lot about myself, as we
Interesting.
probably all do, you
Yeah.
know, doing
That's so cool.
anything different
Yeah.
and going outside the comfort zone. It's pretty amazing how it's still evolving to this day, just thinking back to when, you know, we
Yeah.
started, and it's like you're scared to put out that first
Yeah.
video, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
Oh God.
worried about
Please.
judgment and criticism and all that good stuff. I don't know. It's just over time you figure things out and you find so much more about yourself. You discover new things about yourself that you never knew, maybe gifts that you had that you never knew,
Sure.
or kind of getting closer to what your purpose is or more meaning in
Yeah.
your life. So it's awesome.
I don't know if you can relate to this, but I feel like I've done all these different like spiritual experiences. And then when it
Hmm.
got to making this content and doing this work, I felt like, whoa, this is very similar in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Having to confront parts of myself and
Hmm.
grow through it, it became like another part of a spiritual journey in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because I was having to really accept myself and express myself and
Hmm.
put out my message and know that I was, basically allow myself to sort of, suck at it, and not be the
Yeah,
best
or
that I thought I
be
could be.
vulnerable, like some of
Right,
the
be
things that you
vulnerable.
need
Right.
to talk
Yeah.
about, or talking about your shadow self and
Right.
dark nights of the soul and things
Yeah.
like that is it's hard to talk about for a lot of people, but you know, or you see the results of it, that
Yeah.
the more vulnerable, the more authentic you are through your
Yes.
content, the more you help other people. The more
It's
other
so
people
true.
will
Yeah.
resonate with you because they have the same fears. They're going through the same thing, but they're scared to admit it.
I just sort of am speaking way more. Like my throat chakra now is like,
On
and
your
I didn't
videos
have
and
that
stuff.
before,
Yeah. Yeah,
like
same
years ago.
here. Same
Yeah.
here, because I was always an introverted person,
Yeah.
shy
Me too.
growing up.
Yeah.
And I still am. Like, I'm still, I speak when I need to speak. Like, I'm not
Right.
one to
Right.
just like, blah.
Right. Right.
So in the videos, it's like some people close to me watch my videos, and they're like, wow, like, like it's
Who's that?
interesting because I'm not always as, I don't know, it just comes out of me through the content and through videos, almost like I'm being guided in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing because it's something that I guess I never really knew or thought about.
Would you
Yeah.
encourage everyone to take, like, who's even thinking about sharing their story, to do something like this journey?
Yeah,
Make some content.
if you feel it in your heart,
Hmm.
then why not? Or try. I mean, you don't have to reveal everything like
Right.
day one, but
Right.
a little bit here and there, and you'll see the results, or you'll see how certain people will resonate with you. And
Yes.
the more you're helping people actually by being authentic and by opening up the throat chakra, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting when I look through, video content and someone just sort of like energetically kind of speaks to me, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
start listening, and as they're
Yeah.
talking, I'm
Yeah.
like, truth. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
and I will want to hear it from them, whatever they say. It's like, it's really cool how that works,
Yeah.
as
It's
opposed to
an
trying to.
energetic exchange, right? It's a form of self-discovery for yourself, so it's a spiritual journey, just
Yeah.
putting out a video,
Yeah.
that's part of your path.
Are you finding now that you're being drawn to certain content topics?
I am, it depends on the day, because, I always thought when I started making videos, because I'm all over the place, I
Yeah.
have my videos on acupuncture, I have
Right.
videos on like health and nutrition, or videos on personal development. So, I mean, right now I would say I'm a good mix of personal development and spirituality. The videos I love doing the most are ones that I don't have a script. I just start talking, and
It's
whatever
great.
comes
Yeah.
out, comes out. And then the other side, like the more spirituality ones, are basically my own self-growth, because I'm learning from all you guys, the group we're in, and everybody around us, because I was never a highly spiritual person. I didn't know what a dark night of the soul was
Right.
until
Right.
very recently, to be honest. But I was like, oh, well, I've been through one.
Right.
I didn't even know what it
Right.
was,
Just putting a label on it. Maybe
Um,
better you don't have a label on it.
exactly. So the spirituality part is the part that is more the self-growth for myself and my own journey, because it's a part of myself that I didn't really allow in my past. So it's a good combination of those two things that I enjoy talking about.
Do you feel more spiritual now? Like, or is that label kind of make it hard to define?
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I don't love the word spirituality
Yeah,
to begin with, but it's,
right,
you know, it's doing inner work. It's going within.
right,
It's the transformation or moving from a place of ego
right.
to a place of authenticity, a
Yeah,
place of
well said.
heart-mind
Hmm.
coordination, which
Hmm.
is what I'm going towards now, or what we're all going towards, you
Yes.
know, doing this kind of stuff. That's basically what it means to me. I grew up going to Catholic school, so for
Hmm.
many years I was like, spirituality equals
Right,
religion and
right, right,
praying
right,
and all
right,
that, and
right.
I was like, you know, I don't want that stuff. But no, to me, it has a completely different meaning right now.
And I agree with you. And
It's
I was
tapping
asking that just
into
because,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah, because I'm finding like as I do more of this exploration and learning from other people, you know, it's like, oh wow, that's so simple, but it's so sacred,
Yeah.
you know.
It's not, you know, spirituality. It's not meditating on a mountain for
Right.
8 hours a day. You know, it could be very simple for yourself. It could be sitting with yourself for 5 minutes, but just
Yes.
listening to yourself, listening to your own, trusting yourself, basically. So it's
Trusting.
learning how to trust yourself
Yeah.
rather than looking for things outside of yourself all the time.
Yes. Which
Yeah.
you're a living example because when you probably left that world that was corporate and structured,
Hmm.
there's a certain amount of trust that you kind of have to have in yourself to take that
Yeah.
leap,
It's very scary. Yeah. It's very scary.
you know?
It's like taking all you know, and it's like, what am I doing? You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Yeah.
Are you finding that people are seeking this kind of transition into more entrepreneurial work or more work that is heart centered?
I think so. I mean, just look at society as a whole right now. I
Yeah.
mean, with COVID, there's a lot of people rethinking what they're
Yeah.
doing because it's like we want to force ourselves to go back to how things were, but it's probably going to be a while before you can just snap your fingers and everything goes back to how things were, or people are go back to their offices and things
Yeah.
like that. So you have to get not only creative,
Yeah.
but you know, I think it has a lot of people really thinking
Yes.
about this and say, okay, is it worth it even to go back? Am I really happy there?
Jen, we have a question for you from Chef Dormito. What do you perceive about the alien community? I know you made a video about that, didn't you? Weren't you talking about aliens existing?
Oh, about aliens existing and why, basically why we cover things up and why the government covers things up. I mean, I think there's aliens.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, why not? But I do think that just revealing the truth
Yeah.
to everybody would cause some form of chaos. I mean, look at the grocery store just with when
Mhm.
coronavirus started. I mean, you'd go to the grocery store and the shelves were wiped out. People freaked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So if people
Yes.
freak out
Yes.
over something
Hmm.
like that, then, you know, they're definitely going to freak out over aliens. So,
Totally. No, I
you
remember when
know,
years ago, I got really into
oh,
researching that.
thank you.
Like
Hmm.
I went down like so many rabbit holes with, do you ever watch David Wilcox?
I've heard of him. I don't think I've
Okay,
ever
like
watched.
I was to watch like everything that he put out, and I was really convinced. Like I was really like interested in that. I started getting into like the conspiracy, and I was crawling down all those holes, and then I just realized it was sort of like kind of making me question everything, but also feeling like okay, it's not like I don't know. I mean, who knows? But it's just so interesting to entertain it, and I do
Yeah.
feel
Oh, yeah.
that on some level we don't know the structures that are like the
Yeah.
deep state or the governments what they're hiding and I always have one ear on it because I do
Hmm.
believe that, but I also feel that you're right, consciously we do hold the structure together in what we believe,
Yeah.
and if that were to go, who knows, it would be very
Yeah.
unstable.
I mean, I think it's very egotistical of us to think that we're the only ones,
Right.
you know, the only living beings on this
Yeah.
amazing, you know, in the galaxy and all this
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, I do think there is other life out there. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't
Hmm.
know for a fact, you know, it's about keeping an open mind with
Yeah.
things. And that's
Yeah.
what I try to do. See, you know, I don't have hard, fast evidence, you
No
know.
one does. Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch some of these shows and they say they do, and
That's true. That's
maybe
true.
they
I
do,
did
but
see a
whose
show
truth
where
is,
people swore they were playing ping pong
yeah,
with aliens.
right.
I saw it somewhere.
Whose truth is really truth? Because you're going to hear the truth from one side, and then the other side is going to come and
Yeah.
say, well, that's not truth. This is the truth.
So it's about just staying open. And I think what's so cool about these times is that we can talk about it.
Yeah, Yeah.
Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe 10 years ago,
Hmm.
I might have been thinking about it, but I didn't feel very
Right.
comfortable, certainly
Yeah.
talking about it with people.
The other thing I find funny is that, and I've mentioned this before to one of my friends, when we watch all these shows, I love watching like alien shows or anything
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do with outer space. And,
yeah.
we watch these shows and you can tell that humans have created these shows because the
Okay.
aliens always look kind of like humans. Like an alien could just be like this amoeba, like, you know what I
Sure.
mean? So we always try to
Yeah,
fit things
that's funny.
into the mold because that's what we're used to, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has to be kind of acceptable to us.
Well, we do that with God.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It has to seem
Yeah,
acceptable to
yeah.
us, right? It has to be
Hmm.
a man with a white beard,
Right, right.
sitting on a cloud or something and
Sure.
levitating. And
Yeah,
I just find, that part of humanity funny
right.
because we're
It is
so, I don't know, like we're so limited in our thinking that
right,
we can't think beyond,
right. Or
you
we
know?
just are projecting our image on
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
So if anybody is trying to think beyond,
right.
other people will see that and think that they're crazy.
Yeah,
People think that other people are crazy for thinking outside the box, like
right.
way outside the box,
Because if you have any interest in these things that are outside of the realm
outside the
or
norm.
in the
Yeah.
invisible, it's hard for people. And I get it.
It's the fear of the unknown,
Fear of
right?
the
The
unknown.
fear of the unknown.
Yeah,
People don't like to really
yeah,
do what's scary,
right.
So if you don't have the evidence or you don't see it with your own eyes,
Yeah,
then it must not exist. For me, helping others is just right now putting out the content,
yeah,
whether or not somebody watches it or not, because in my eyes, you can't force anybody to do anything. You can't twist their arm for them.
no,
They have to make the choice themselves, or they have to decide that they want to be more open
okay.
themselves. You really can't force change upon somebody. You can only provide them the information. You can give them the content.
That's it.
You
Yeah.
can lead by example and hope
Mm-hmm.
that they follow in your footsteps
Yep.
or, take some of that content in. Because, when you try to force stuff on people, they're going to get defensive and they're going to push away. They're going to resist. So,
At this time, I also want to bring attention to your socials, your Instagram, your YouTube. I also want to ask, and I ask this of everybody because we're just such like a treasure trove of knowledge. What book or resource or something, would you recommend to anyone watching?
reality transurfing is a big favorite of mine by Vadim
Okay.
Zeland.
Reality transurfing.
Transurfing, yep. There's
Okay.
another author I really enjoy, Penny Pierce. She
Who's
has a
Penny
book
Pierce?
called Frequency. She has a bunch of books. Stuff is about
Yeah.
raising your vibration,
Yeah.
frequency, and all that kind of thing. It's very interesting. Frederick Doxson is another great author who I
Okay.
enjoy. Parallel Universe.
I want to thank you again. And if there's anything last thing you want to share about what's going on or
Um, just if you're at a point of these, little evolutions of yourself or you're feeling stuck in any
yeah.
way right now, just realize that is your intuition or your higher self kind of nudging you. I think right now is a great time for people to reflect and to really ask themselves,
Yeah.
what do I want out of life? Like, what
Yeah.
makes me happy? What would make my heart happy? Not just my mind. So just use this opportunity to really tap into yourself and your intuition. Reading books is a great way to
Yeah.
kind of get your mind in a place where you can kind of shift a little bit. But it does take some
That's the
time.
word, the shift.
The shift, yeah. But be patient with it because, we always want instant gratification. We always want a quick fix. We always want to just like press a button and have it all figured out. But none of us have it all figured out, right?
No,
I don't
that's
have
why
it
we're
figured out.
here.
I'm sure you don't have it figured
That's
out. I'm
why
sure
we're
everybody
here to
here
figure
doesn't
it
have
out.
it
Maybe for like a
100%
moment.
figured out, right? And some days you feel like you have it figured out, and then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh crap, like everything feels like you're lost, right?
But that's
But
growth. That to me is growth.
yeah,
It's like
that's
you figure it
growth.
out in the moment, and then the
Yeah,
next moment, it's like the next thing, and the
yeah.
next thing, and
It's
the next.
being human. It's being
Yeah.
human. So be patient with it. Be patient with yourself and trust yourself.
I want to thank everyone if you've been watching us and been part of this conversation. Really appreciate it. And thanks to Jen for sharing all this wisdom. I know you've left
Thank
me with
you
a
for
bunch
having
of
me
things
on.
to process and some good books to follow up with.
Yeah.
And follow Jen if you haven't already. And please stay in touch. I hope we see you in future broadcasts. I love you guys. I really appreciate your support. Lots of love. Mwah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
all.
Lynn.
Thank
You're
you, Karen. I appreciate
awesome.
you so much.
See you soon. Mwah.
Yes, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.